Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to finally start work on the main part of the application. But before we do, I'd just like to make one small modification to our login activity. The way it is now, once a user logs in, if they press the back button, they'll be able to go back to the sign-in page, and we don't want to allow them to do that. So to fix that, all you need to do is run the finish method, which will remove the login activity from the stack. So when you go back, it won't allow you to. But also, what we're going to do is we're going to say intent.add flags, and we're going to say intent.flag activity new task, and intent.flag activity clear task. Okay, so these two lines of code, that one and that one, will fix that small problem. So what we'll do, we'll go to the register activity and add the exact same thing. So first finish. Now you'll notice here that I've put the object within the start activity method without actually creating a variable. Now I could type out the variable, but also there's a handy trick I can show you. If you highlight the code and you hold Ctrl-Alt-V, Android Studio will create the variable for you, and it will put it within the start activity method. So just something handy worth remembering. Now instead of typing here, I'm just going to copy. And there we go. Alright, so now we can finally go to our main activity and do what we do the design work that we need to do there. So as it is right now, our activity just has this text main activity. I'm going to immediately get rid of that, and I'm going to change this to relative layout. Okay, so what I'd like to create is a tab view. So we're going to have tabs at the top of the screen, and you'll be able to swipe through the screen or click the tabs to select them. I have an example of this in my browser that I can show you. So let's take a look. Here's the Android developer website. It has examples of the same thing, so that's something handy worth seeing, worth looking at. And here's an image that shows something like what we're trying to achieve. So there's a bunch of them, but something like this essentially. You have tabs at the top, you click them, and it will take you to that particular screen. Okay, so let's see how to do this. So the first thing we need is an app bar layout. So app bar layout. The width will be match parent and the height will be wrap content. And within this, we will first put our action bar. So we can cut this and put it there. Then the next thing we'll need is our tab layout. Also within the also within the app bar layout. Oh, no, that's a table layout. Tab layout, so it is also match parent and wrap content, and it will also need an ID. So ID can be main activity tabs. Feel free to choose whatever you like. It doesn't have to be exactly what I type. Okay, so that's those are the two things that will go inside the app bar layout. And now outside it, we'll have a Viewpager. But before I put that, let's just see how it looks. And there it is. So the app bar, of course you can't see them, you can't differentiate them, but the action bar is on top, and below it is the main activity tabs. And now we can put our Viewpager. Now the Viewpager will hold the actual screens. So the different screens that you'll see will be within this particular widget. And again, match parent, wrap content. I'm going to give it an ID. Simply Viewpager is good enough. Or perhaps I can say main Viewpager so I can differentiate it, just in case we create another activity that also has tabs. Now if you go to the design, as you can see, the Viewpager is taking up the entire screen, but we need it to be below the actual tabs so that it doesn't block the tabs that you're going to click. So to fix that, we just have to drag it till it's below, and that's it. Okay, so that's all we'll do in the main activity XML. Now the next thing we have to do is to actually create the fragments that will take up this space that we've just created. So we'll need a fragment for each tab that we create. And to create that, we simply we right click the package, we say new, fragment, blank fragment, and we can give it a name, for example, groups. Be sure to uncheck these two options. We do not want to include the factory methods or interface callbacks, and say finish. Okay, Gradle has finished building. So here's my groups fragment, and it's also created a layout for me. And as you can see, I went ahead and created two more. So I have one for friends and another one for chats. So those are my three fragments: chats, groups, and friends. So what the other thing we'll do is, in our fragment, we can go to the XML, and let's just rebuild so that we can actually see the design editor. Okay, here it is. So it gives me by default this hello blank fragment text. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change that to say groups, and I will make it bigger. Text size 20 dp. Okay, so this will help us just to see whether everything is working when we test it. Let's make it slightly bigger. Okay, that's better. I've done the same for the other fragments, so you can go ahead and pause and do that for yours. And we can leave that. We can leave it at that for now. So let's go back to the main activity, this time the Java side, and let's connect our Java to our XML. So the first one we will do is the Viewpager. Now this is just the same old thing we've always been doing. You simply call the object, create the object, private Viewpager, and you initialize it. Viewpager is equals to find view by id r.id.viewpager. Oh, it was main Viewpager. Okay. Next thing we need is the tab layout. Actually, before the tab layout, let's first create the adapter, the Viewpager adapter. That's what's going to help us swipe through the Viewpager. So it's a class of its own, which we can create within this main activity.java. But for the sake of not cluttering our code, we'll just create it externally. So we can say private Viewpager adapter adapter is fine. And of course it will give us an error because we haven't created the class yet, but it can do that for us. So here we are, class Viewpager adapter, and it will inherit from fragment pager adapter. There we go. We immediately get an error because we need to override a pair of methods. So let's click the light bulb again, implement methods, and we'll say okay. And then we also need an empty constructor. So here we are, create constructor, and there it is. So now it's fine. So let's use those methods that we just created. We'll start with get count, and this needs to know how many fragments we have. And since we're working with few, just 3 of them, we can hard code this and say return 3. Okay, then we can deal with get item. Get item takes in the position, and it should, depending on the position, it should select the appropriate fragment to show. So within it, what we can do is first create a fragment object, so fragment, and for now it will be equal to null. And then we can create a switch statement to go through the position. So switch position, and we'll remove this from here. So the first case is 0, and in here we can say fragment is equals to new. Let's start with chats, and then case 2. First let's return fragment, and then case 1, actually not case 2, because we start from 0. Fragment will be equal to new friends. Return fragment, and case 2, fragment is equals to new groups, and we return fragment. And then we'll put a default. So default will be return null. Okay, and that is our get item method. That is it. Next thing we need to do is actually use this class. So we've created the whole thing. That's all there is to the Viewpager adapter. Now we can use it. And to use it, we will first initialize. Let's take this. Actually, I'll move it down. Control Shift and the down button to move and the arrow buttons to move code like that, by the way. Lines of code. So, can initialize our adapter is equals to new Viewpager adapter, and as an argument it takes in a fragment manager. So we say get support fragment manager, and then we simply have to set the 2 of these things together, the Viewpager and the adapter. And to do that, we say Viewpager dot set adapter. That is it. Okay, now let's deal with the tab layout. So private tab layout will initialize it. Tab layout is equals to find view by ID, r.id. What did I call it? Main activity tabs, I think. Yes, main activity tabs. And then tab layout dot setup with Viewpager. Simple as that. Okay, Let us apply these changes and see what errors we might have. Hopefully none. Okay, and there it is. Here's the app running with the tabs. You can only see that little red line at the bottom, but the tabs are there. If we click one, there we go. We go to the friends activity, groups activity. Excellent. This is working perfectly. So now all we have to do is to put the titles at the top. So let's do that next. And to do that, we just have to add one more method to our Viewpager adapter, and that's public car sequence get page title. It'll take the position, int position, and it will have a switch statement, much like this switch statement, just running through the positions and doing the appropriate thing. So I'll just copy this and then return the text that you want at the top. So the first one we're going to have, according to this, is charts, which means here we can put charts. And then I can copy that return statement and change this to friends, and this to groups. Okay, let's run it, see what happens. Okay, it's opening up, and there we go. Chats, friends, and groups, working perfectly. So now we'll just need to change the color so that we can see it better. And to do that, it's quite simple. It's the same thing we did for this, actually, for the the main app bar, the main action bar, that is. So all we need to do is to add the same thing that we added in the main action bar to our tab layout. So you can copy that, go over to main activity, XML, we'll go to the text, here's the tab layout, and I'll just paste that in. Oh, I just need a quote. Okay, we'll run it one final time. And there we go. Wonderful. So now we can see the titles of our tabs, and we can swipe through them. If you're trying this on an actual device, you'll be able to do the actual swipe rather than tapping, clicking. But yeah, it works, and it's worked the first time, which is excellent. So now in the next videos, we can start adding functionality to these tabs, rather to these fragments, so that they actually do something. But for now, we can stop there. Thank you very much.